YouTube says it has had enough of vaccine misinformation on its site.
And false stories from phony sites to run circles around major news outlets.
Many people don't know the difference between something real and something created to deceive them.
Open your eyes.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I wanted to do a follow-up video on Donald Trump on his tweets from Truth Social. And I wanted to talk about the Illuminati card game because is this finally the time where they're playing the enough is enough card? Because it sure sounds like it. Since Trump tweeted once again since the last video I posted saying, quote, "It's time. We are a nation in steep decline, being led into World War III by a crooked politician who doesn't even know he's alive, but who is surrounded by evil and sinister people who, based on their actions on defunding the police, destroying our military, open borders, no voter ID, inflation, raising taxes, and much more, can only hate our now failing USA. We just can't allow this anymore. They're killing our nation as we sit back and watch. We must save America. Protest, protest, protest." Does that not sound like the famous Donald Trump Illuminati card, enough is enough? And I'll get into that in more detail in a minute. I want to remind everybody who is here on this channel that I do have a website at callforanuprising.com, and I have important information up over there that I can't post on YouTube, so I highly recommend people join the website. It's $2.99 a month. It's troll-free. It's ad-free. That keeps out trolls from posting things in the forum, which is very, very important, the forum. And, of course, I have exclusive content up over there of things that you cannot talk about here on this platform, such things as recently talked about these terror prisons that are starting to pop up. They're frightening, right out of Human Centipede, as well as M.R.NA, and how this never-ending battle is going to continue with more and more psychological operations to make sure they can get certain things inside people's bodies. And that's why we're hearing about the return of polio, because like I've mentioned before, the data that they got back from what just occurred with the outbreak was not the kind of data that they're telling us about and not the kind of data they expected. The amount of people they claim took the potion is not even close. And the amount of fear that people actually had in their made up, narrative was very minimal. So they're going to start doing things like pulling old diseases out, things that we've, a lot of people have been taken shots for when they were born, things like polio, et cetera, to try to normalize, say, look, this isn't a conspiracy. These are actual real diseases that have occurred, and you got the shot when you're a kid, so why don't you get it now? So those types of narratives. So those are things I'm going to be covering on the website. I highly recommend everybody join the website. And again, I am staying here on YouTube. I know a lot of you want me to stay here on YouTube. I do have a Rumble channel, but I don't know how often I'm going to upload there for now. It's just a backup. I have backup channels on YouTube as well, but I do have Patreon for anyone out there that wants to support the channel. This is a now demonetized channel, so it certainly needs your help and support in keeping the channel going. Obviously, having a Patreon helps me produce more and more content like I used to do. Having the channel unmonetized and shadow banned makes it harder for me to reach new people, so please consider sharing. And let's continue and move on now to this story about Trump and how they are actually baiting people into a psyop. Now, we all know that 322 falls on Wednesday. They're claiming that this is going to occur on 321. Now, an arrest can occur on 321, and some type of protest could, of course, occur on 322. For those of you that don't know about Skull and Bones, 322. So many orchestrated, planned attacks have occurred over the years, from Brussels to the London Bridge. So many things that have occurred on that date within the last 5 to 10 years. So they always use 322. Their secret society, Skull and Bones, they love to pay homage to them. We'll see what actually occurs. I mean, the fact that Trump's even talking about it, it's comical in the sense that how do you know ahead of time? And then, of course, they come out with the story. Well, they know ahead of time that Trump's going to get arrested because of illegal leaks, right? The same thing we heard with Roe v. Wade. There's no such thing as an illegal leak. They leak things because they want them to leak, because they want to cause a reaction in the people. They want to lure people into protesting, into doing something so that they can create a false flag. They don't even have to lure anyone, because Obviously, the whole thing that they would do would be a setup from the CIA, from our intel agencies, and then they want to make sure that they can lure people into joining the PSYOP, because that's how it works. And you even get a statement out of the Manhattan District Attorney who says, we're not going to be intimidated by Trump. He says, we do not tolerate attempts to intimidate our office or threaten the rule of law in New York. Our law enforcement partners will ensure that any specific or credible threats against the office will be fully investigated and that the proper safeguards are in place so all 1,600 of us have a secure work environment. Okay, so this is the DA of Manhattan who the claim is that he's going to make the arrest, that it's coming, and that these are leaks, just like Roe v. Wade, convenient leaks. These people just leak this information out, not thinking that it's going to cause any type of protest or chaos. Well, of course it is. Well, that's the whole point, though, so that they can say, oh, Trump called for protests, so all these right-wing terrorists went and protested. They can continue to push the domestic terrorist narrative. They continue to, weaponize the government, which already is on both sides. But they really want to ignite the right-wingers into thinking that this government's only working for the liberals, which it is on the surface. We all see the insanity that this government is getting away with. But this is being done by design. This is how they're keeping people divided. And that's why it's amazing to me being back on this channel, seeing how many Trump supporters are in the comment section. They're like, oh, he's done so much. Oh, God is bro. I thought that most of these people had finally woken up. But since I've had about 90 channels, since really the last time I've consistently posted here, it seems the same people are still hanging around, or new people maybe found the channel and thought that this was a pro-Trump channel. This is a pro-Jesus channel. This is a channel that is pro-truth, okay? The left and the right. Without Trump, none of this happens. Our government does not fall without Trump. Somebody has to play the role. Charismatic leader, like the Illuminati card game, that's the role that Trump is playing. And now, if you read that tweet that he put out on his Truth Social, does that not sound like the enough is enough card? If those of you who don't know about the Illuminati card game, almost everything in the game comes to fruition. It comes true, right? And that's how sigil magic works. That's how these people orchestrate and operate. They put this stuff out there in movies and they desensitize people and they show you ahead of time what is coming and then they do it. And I did a video, my channel got taken down a couple weeks ago, showing the Illuminati card game just in 2023, some of the stuff that's occurred. Of course, you have the stuff with Russia and China and World War III, right? These are the rumors we're hearing about. But even some of the funnier ones that have happened and some of the tragic ones that have happened this year. But we have, the flying saucer, right? The weather balloon satellite crap. These are all things that are in the Illuminati card game, right? The EPA in Ohio with the train derailment, right? The list of these things goes on and on, of course, and you have earthquakes, you have weaponized weather. These are things that we're seeing going on, obviously, in Turkey, what they did with Turkey. Well, NATO came out and said there was going to be extreme consequences to Turkey. Look what happened to Turkey the next week or two after, that weird thing was ominously seen flying over Turkey, that weird cloud formation. Oh, right. They can't weaponize weather, though. Wink, wink, Operation Popeye. Anyone want to look up how they've been weaponizing weather since the 40s and 50s? But people don't want to believe that for whatever reason. They have the technology. They admit that they have the technology. We've seen documents of it. We've seen the fact that they've used it. They even use cloud seeding in India. I think it was India, places they're creating rain. And then you go, oh, okay, well, if they can create rain, then why don't they stop all these droughts that are causing a problem with our food supply chain? Oh, right, because they don't want you to think that way about manipulated climate change. They only want you to think, oh, they can't do anything about it. Oh, we're all going to die. When the reality is they control the weather. They manipulate the weather. And they would never want to manipulate it to help us. They want to manipulate it to enslave us. So obviously, even with the Illuminati card game, the most prominent ones is the two towers and the Pentagon, which we've all seen. But back to the story about Trump. Because now that they're baiting everyone, again, like I said, Trump plays the role perfectly. I read his tweet and I try to read these things and I say, how does this make me feel? It's I always tell people. And then how does it make you feel? And then step back and then realize that that's how the common person who probably has similar viewpoints to me, like a conservative person, even though I'm not a Republican, how would they feel drawn? That's how psyops work. It's just a basic psychological operation. They look at us like zoo animals. The same way you go to the zoo and you're like, well, if I throw this in, the animal's going to do that. Well, that's the same thing they do with us. That's what Operation Paperclip was about when they brought all these scientists, quote unquote, over here. And we're starting to experiment on the brain and how to manipulate behavior. This is stuff they've been doing for over 100 years now. Okay? So they look at us like zoo animals and then they try to figure out how they can work us into what they want. What do they want? Well, they want division. That's what they want most importantly. Order out of chaos. Some of the most basic things that you've probably heard in your life, like divide and conquer, these sayings, nobody ever thinks deep about it. They just go, oh, divide and conquer, order out of chaos. These are their mottos for a reason. So they have to create chaos. They're the order that comes in after. So what do you think all this stuff with Trump and the liberal communists are that's going on? Trump is one of them. If Trump wasn't playing this role, what do you think would happen? How would people even be buying into it? The liberals are playing just as big of a role as Trump is playing. These liberals, and they know that they're sabotaging America, that they're literally using communist tactics. They're taking away free speech. And look at all of us allowing it to occur. Then on the other side, what about Trump? Oh, Trump's the one who rolled out the magic potion. Trump's the one who said he was going to drain the swamp. None of these things have occurred, but they keep getting told, the people who follow the QAnon psyop, oh, it's going to happen. Good things are going to come. It's part of the plan. Trust the plan. Trust the deep state. I even heard some insane conspiracies about Q with the magic potion. That's the vaccine. that when Trump, there was a good one, and then when Trump left office and Biden came in, they switched it out. I mean, how much bullcrap can you actually, put on a plate and swallow at once? I mean, you might as well go on Fear Factor if you're believing this stuff, because clearly you'll whatever somebody tells you to do, you'll go ahead and do it and believe it at this point. The people need to pull out of the left and right. That's one of the reasons that my channel and constantly is censored and shut down. I don't keep you in the left-right paradigm. The left-right paradigm is the toxic poison. It's what keeps us in this. If you found out that all the Republicans in Congress were working against all of us, just like the liberals are, then you'd realize what's going on. People go, I don't understand. What does that even mean? Why would they be working against? Well, what do you think? They're just going to show up in Congress and they're going to go, yep, capitalism's destroyed. We're changing the whole way the world is. Deal with it. Oh, there'd be an uprising. So what they have to do, they have to make it look like, both sides are going back and forth. Both sides are extreme on two different levels. Oh, Roe v. Wade. Oh, they hate gay people. Oh, back and forth, and dividing the people. Then they herd the people. Like I was talking about yesterday, it's very clear to see. Many of you have been talking about Hunger Game programming. It's exactly right. You start herding the people. Because what do? You say, well, in these states, they're making it mandatory that you have the vax. Oh, okay, well, I'm not going there. Okay, in these states, they're allowing trans to go into libraries. Okay, well, I'm not raising my kids there. So they herd you into the positions that they want you to be in. That's what we're headed towards. Because it's not going to just America's not just going to turn into a fully communist country. The majority of the population is not going to put up with it. They call it socialism, but it's really communism. That's what's going on. But they're going to herd people. They're going to herd people behind Trump and DeSantis, those types of characters that are very appealing to people like us. They're charismatic. They're great on the mic. Obviously, the things that they say, most of us agree with. But if you don't realize you're being herded, then it's easy to get sucked into a honey trap. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. So Trump, again, like you would think that these people, with these stories, they'd say, oh, all this stuff that we've heard over and over about the laughable January 6th, over and over. They just keep bringing it up. I remember watching it when it happened that day. I was cracking up. I was like, look at these people. They're climbing the walls like Spider-Man. Yeah, you can tell me there's no agents there, that this isn't an infiltrated, created CIA event. Of course it was. They still talk about it. And then on top of all that, they leak out that Trump's going to get arrested. And then he calls for protests. Then he calls on people pretty much saying, if you read that thing back, which I'll read it to you one more time, the enough is enough Illuminati card game. This is exactly what he's saying. He says, it's time. Isn't that another way of saying enough is enough? We are a nation in steep decline, being led into World War III by a crooked politician who doesn't even know he's alive, but is surrounded by evil and sinister people who, based on their actions on defunding the police, destroying our military, our open borders, voter ID, inflation, raising taxes, and much more, can only hate our now failing USA. We just can't allow this anymore. They're killing our nation as we sit back and watch. We must save America. Protest, protest, protest. So that's, in 3 words, it's enough is enough right there, being played out. We'll see what it leads to. Okay, all I can do is show you the stuff, the propaganda and stuff that they're putting out there. But if this doesn't reek of some type of psyop or false flag, I mean, what do you think? It's just going to stay calm like this? They've been baiting people for about 2 years now with the Hunter Biden laptop story. That's all we hear about every day. Hunter Biden's laptop. And what happens? Well, people just keep getting madder and madder that nothing's being done, right? Look at the narrative that's in the mainstream. The liberals can get away with murder. They can say whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. Conservative people get their free speech taken away. They want to take their guns away. The Trump's being indicted, but Biden's not, right? Oh, it's a country where, it's weaponizing the CIA, which is weaponized by both sides, because the CIA is really the ones calling the shots, along with the shadow government. But that's the narrative they've been playing for 2 years. So when they go and they do this now with Trump, after waiting 2 years since the January 6th thing, and Trump's calling on this, and everyone's all riled up about inflation, everybody's riled up about the borders, everyone's riled up about the embarrassment that's our military, which has turned into doing pronouns. I mean, they're doing the most ridiculous things they can on purpose. It's not because the liberals are tone deaf. Nobody can be this tone deaf. They're doing it on purpose. It's part of this show where they're driving people absolutely insane, and they're trying to push you towards each party individually. There's no independent party. There's no one free of it. There's Republicans who are like, well, I don't really like Trump. I like DeSantis. All right. Well, they're giving you another option of pretty much the same thing, right? A guy who could talk good on the microphone, who's doing all the things that we would consider normal, like banning critical race theory and all this type of stuff. I mean, this is all done by design. So we're now at a point where we have the enough is enough Illuminati card in play, because Trump is saying enough is enough. Take our nation back. They're killing our nation is the quote as we sit back and watch. We must save America. Protest, protest, protest. And of course, conveniently, these leaks just keep coming out. Who's leaking them? Who's leaking these things? Oh, nobody? Oh, you mean all these same members from the left and the right who are part of the same secret societies and then play the role of, I'm conservative, so I don't get along with a liberal. Oh, you seem to get along when you're doing your Freemasonic meetings together, where you're walking around in your underwear blindfolded and they have a sword up to your throat and you swear an oath of loyalty and secrecy. Oh, we seem okay with each other then. But of course, when the cameras are on, you have to play this, because otherwise nobody would allow a satanic Freemasonic takeover of our country. And that's why they have to do it this way. And that's what Trump's role is. I get it for people out there who are drawn to Trump. I mean, the guy's great on the microphone. Every time he does a promo, I laugh, because some of the stuff he says is funny. Trump, he just said Biden doesn't know he's alive. Well, yeah. I mean, those are funny things if you actually watch Biden. But if you don't think that Biden and Kamala Harris and all these Dems, if you don't think they're doing it on purpose, you're not seeing the greater picture here. I know people are like, well, Biden's a clone now. It's not even the same guy. Okay, well, you could think that way and have that perspective. That's perfectly fine. They have the ability to clone. I've covered that millions of times, with even Bill Clinton coming out talking about it in the 90s, that they had the ability to clone humans. Yeah, people don't think that they do, because it sounds like a tinfoil hat conspiracy, even though that whole mindset of the tinfoil hat, they still bring it up. And it's like, yeah, most of us should be walking around with tinfoil hats on because of the 5G that's being directed at our heads. And why do you think there's mental health problems and depression and anxiety like never before? But anyway, I get the point of being drawn in, but you have to realize that this is part of what they want. I'm not saying this because I think I'm smarter than anyone else. I'm not saying it because I know something else. I didn't have a vision. It's easy to see. It's a work. These things only get leaked if they want them to get leaked. These stories only come out if they want them to come out. This whole Hunter Biden thing would never have been in the mainstream media over and over again. Fox News works hand in hand with CNN. They play their roles. They're hurting both sides into civil unrest. How else do you think they're going to bring in order out of chaos? They wouldn't be able to create chaos if there wasn't a left and right divide. So Trump calling on the enough is enough card. Again, I hope everybody out there, if you're still here listening at this point in the video, will join the website at callforuprising.com. It's $2.99 a month. It is well worth it. For those of you that want to see me continue here on YouTube, I will try my best to make as much content as I always have. The issue is just that this channel is demonetized and shadow banned. I'm not complaining about it anymore at this point. If you want to support the channel, you can on Patreon. You can support it by just sharing the videos, thumbsing up the videos, so that maybe there's a chance I can break through the algorithm wall again, but I doubt it. I'm kind of worried the more I upload here, the quicker this channel gets shut down. This is usually just kind of my safety net channel, my big channel, and I lead people to my other channels. That's how this whole thing has worked. I'm rambling on, but most of you get the point. I have my other channels linked below if you'd like to subscribe to those as well. Let me know what you think, and don't be offended. That's the thing. People get so offended because they put and invest so much of themselves behind these characters, right? And what does the Bible tell us? Put your trust in God, not in man. We're seeing so many Christians put their trust in Trump, and I get why, but you have to pull yourself out of that. None of these rich elites are working against one another. They're like, oh, he's not part of the establishment. Oh, no, he was only best buddies with Bill Clinton and Hillary. He was only a lib most of his life until it was time to place the character that they needed to have in place to cause the chaos. Who's a better character than him? Who would fit in that role that would act it out better? Vince McMahon? I mean, think about it. He's perfect for it. He's a bully. He's this, he's that. It works the narrative perfectly. So you have to try to pull yourself out of it. I know people want to believe in Trump, but whatever ends up occurring here is going to be part of their plan. Just don't get sucked into it, where they try to lure you, how they try to divide you, right? Some of you go, well, what's the solution to it? Well, those are the things that, we all need to make sure that we're taking care of, our homes first. And by that, I mean having food, having water, networking with other like-minded people for when stuff goes down, because the grid's going to go down at some point. There's going to be the illusion of World War III. Don't think for a second that they won't, try to do something where they shut it down. And remember, they've already hinted a million times at how vulnerable our power grid is. They talk about it like every month or two because they're getting you ready for it. And then talking about switching to green energy, right? Which we know, is not sustainable, but their whole purpose isn't to have sustainable energy. The whole purpose of it is to have control over our grid, right? When they start controlling how much water you can use and your heat and your air in your home, you're enslaved to them, and that's what they want, and that's what both sides are working towards. So don't buy into this stuff. All these politicians are like celebrities now. It's unbelievable. You put any of these clips you see from like Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, they have politicians, like it's the Democratic senator from Illinois. Like, what? Huh? Where's Jack Nicholson, or where's, whatever, Nicholas, whatever. I forget what's between the golfer and the actor, but, where are these guys on these talk shows talking about movies? Oh, right. All these politicians now have their own podcast show. I mean, it's unbelievable. These are the new celebrities because they're acting this thing out, making you hate, like, Taylor Greene, the one woman, right? Ted Cruz playing their roles. And on the other side, you have the other extreme lunatics like Newsom. It's a movie. It's literally a movie where they're putting these guys out there. They're like, hey, it's Gavin Newsom. You see people shooting up in the streets of California. Nobody's arresting any of these people for doing drugs on the streets. Nobody's arresting them for just like putting, campsites in the middle of the road. Right? People are committing crimes. They're allowing it to happen. What do you think they want? Like, Newsom and them are like, think that it's a wonderful thing. They're doing it because they're doing it to destroy and rebuild. That's what they're doing it for. And that's what this is all about. I thank everyone for being here again. Hope you're doing well. Enough is enough, apparently. Let's find out how this game plays out. God bless all of you and your families.